Hello Orchid friends, welcome back to my channel. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a great day, staying healthy and staying safe. Today in this video, we're going to take a look at my tetraspis C1 orchid. This is a species, and this orchid is a compilation of about, I think, 3 or 4 different bloom cycles within the same year for this particular orchid, because I just waited for a little too long that now I have all these photos and video footages, and I thought I would just kind of go over them in one video so you can kind of see how this orchid does this particular bloom cycle. So this orchid was purchased from Orchid by Hauserman, and I actually have 2 orchids in my collection. One is from Norman's Orchid. The other one is from Orchids by Hauserman. They're both C1s, and in a video clip later, you'll see that they are in bloom side by side, but primarily we're looking at the orchid from Orchid by Hauserman. When I first learned about tetraspis C1, it was because of some other YouTubers talking about their C1, and then I was very interested in getting a C1, and that ended up getting 2 on different occasions. I didn't buy them at the same time, but I was really glad that I got them because I was just so interested in the fact that these orchids would put out random white red petals and not have a specific rules. and it's just all random, so every time it's always a surprise as far as how many red petals or sepals you're getting, and whether it's all red or all white or a combination of the two. It's just always interesting. And also because this orchid is a sequential bloomer, so it typically keeps its spike for about 2 years, if not longer. And both orchids right now are with multiple spikes. And they both are grown in organic media. It's always a mixture of manto clay and hydrocorn. Manto clay being the smaller pebble of the two. And I usually use a 1-to-1 ratio, and I think for these 2 as well, I just kind of eyeball it. I no longer use measuring cup to really measure the ratio. It's a feeling. After you grow orchids for some time, it's becoming more of an art than an exact science. And sometimes it just kind of feels, certain things just feel right when you do something to your orchid. You just kind of know that it's going to work or it's not. So anyway, so that's why I don't really measure the amount of pebbles anymore. I just kind of use my hands and eyeball it. And so for these 2 orchids, they're really easy to care for. I don't really do anything special other than making sure that they get 1/4 cup of water most months of the year, except in winter months when it's really cold. I may reduce the water amount to about 1/8 of a cup. And then every time I water this orchid, except the end of the month, I will soak my orchids. Otherwise, the solution I give to these orchids already have water-soluble fertilizer in it. And here is a quick video for you to see the side-by-side. And here is another bloom cycle for the orchid from Orchid by Hauserman. But then, gosh, it's this time around, then you kind of see the all white flower. There's one, and then for the most part, it's still, more red. And then later, you're gonna see in this video that there is one bloom cycle that primarily gave me all white flowers. Why is that? Well, it was in the winter month. It was back in, I think, November or December when it was really cold. And so I kind of come to a conclusion, and I don't know if you guys also have similar experience, and that is when the temperature is cooler, or when it's winter time, and if this orchid bloom in that time, then it tend to give out more white flowers, more white petals and sepals. And then when it's during the winter, warmer months, then you tend to get more reds. And here's the beginning of that particular cycle I was telling you about. Because I was looking at the buds, I was thinking, everything looks a little pale. There's no red pigments. So sure enough, the first flower opened, pure white, nothing else. And then gradually, all the other buds started to become bigger. And I was looking and searching for any red pigments, nothing. So before you know it, second flower opened, all white. So this particular bloom cycle just gave me all white flowers. Everything else stays the same though. My care, the amount of water, the fertilizer, everything else is the same. The only difference is the temperature, and because it was winter, so it was just colder, and I think it knows it. If you're new to the orchid hobby, this is a species that is easy to take care of, so don't be afraid to try out tetraspis. And you can start with the red-white variety. There are other varieties that I'm seeing already. In fact, I got from Joseph Wu's Orchid a purple and white variety. It's a reddish purple. It's not completely purple like an indigo purple, but it's different enough that if you put the red and white variety next to the purple and white variety, you're going to see that it's actually really purple compared to the red. So there are many different varieties, but tetraspis is relatively easy to take care of. The roots can be a little sensitive, and because the roots aren't thick, so you really have to make sure that you give your orchid proper amount of water. And the medium, depending on the medium, if it's moss, you really have to watch the water you give it, because this orchid, in my experience with moss, it tends to have issues. And so since I change it out to the inorganic media with pebbles, it doesn't have any issue. Just make sure you control the water amount really well, and that's what I do with these two orchids, and so far everything is fine. And this is the purple and white variety I'm telling you about. It originally came with a spike, and it quickly gave me 2 flowers, and then I accidentally broke off the spike, but then it continued to grow a secondary spike from one of the nodes, and then gave me 2 more flowers. So that was kind of interesting. Very vigorous grower, and now you can see, them being side by side next to each other, you can tell in comparison the purple and the red are quite different. This is all I have for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you would like to get more orchid related videos from my channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification. I want to wish you happy growing, and I will talk to you in my next video. Ciao!